Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Ash Kumra with Youngry. Today we have an amazing guest, Heather Dubrow. And before we talk about how extraordinary she is,
I like this already.
I think it's important for you guys to really pay attention to some of the stuff you're going to hear in this interview. We met Heather, actually. Several of us met her at the Internet Marketing Association conference. A good friend of ours, Sinan Kanatsis, thank you again for setting this up, had you speak. Mm-hmm. And you were just so dynamic because you're this TV star, you're this podcast host, which, by the way, you all need to watch it. It is so witty, both of them, the one with her husband and the one that she does on her own. It's witty. And not just that, but like you also have a beauty product. Mm-hmm. And we feature on Youngry all these inspiring entrepreneurs and self-brand figures to like inspire the next generation. That's what Youngry's about. But what I like about your thing is that there's like this authentic message behind everything you do. It's like I feel like I know you already from listening to your podcast or seeing your commercials with your beauty products or
Thank you.
Just even seeing on TV. It's like what you see is what you get. And we wanted to just better understand how did you develop this and your secrets to success because you're an influential person and we are very humbled to have you here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thanks everyone for having me. First of all, I'll tell you that when I started my podcast, which I think was really the first, I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. Like if you told me that 5 years ago, I'd go, yeah, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm not, totally not. But I think I've become one by accident. So what happened was my agent said to me, you should do a podcast. And I go, well, what's that? I mean, I went from literally the rotary dial to like the iPhone. I'm not technologically savvy at all. My kids have to work my phone for me, especially when I drop it in the toilet, which happens several times. It's a good thing it's like water resistant. Yeah. So anyway, so I started doing this podcast, and what I realized was being someone that went from a career in scripted television as an actress to taking a break, because I had 4 kids in 7 years, and then reemerging on the scene using my married name and being on reality television, all of a sudden people's perception of me was shifted and edited. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I felt like this was a good opportunity. I don't know if I did this knowingly, but I realized later this was a good opportunity for me to show the world who I actually am unfiltered and in a raw way. And I think what's really important, and one of the things we talked about at that conference in Vegas, is you may think you know who your brand is or what your brand is, but you don't. Your audience decides what your brand is.
Okay, so how do you connect with your audience then?
Well, I think for me, you know, especially on Real Housewives, I was sort of dubbed as fancy pants. So champagne and this, you know, fancy life and all this, which is a part of me. But there's also, you know, a down-to-earth mom of 4. You know, I wasn't raised with nannies and housekeepers and dripping in diamonds or anything like that. So there's more layers than that. And I think that by talking about what's going on in my world and how I feel about things, it's having a very clear point of view, I think, is very important.
Okay. How do you, I have to fast forward for a second because you talked about being a mom. How do you balance your life? Because as entrepreneurs, a lot of us are, you know, juggling family life, generally work life, trying to have a social life too, and then coming up with new ideas. Like, how do you do it? What's your secret?
I drink a lot.
Okay.
That's
Appreciate
one.
the honesty.
No, but seriously, that balance, I feel like that's something that we're all striving for. I think classically you hear about this with moms, you know, but I went from a full-time working person to a full-time stay-at-home mom to a part-time working person to then a full-time working mom. And so it was not an easy transition. And the truth is there is no really concrete answer, except that you have to find your way. The one thing I would say is it's okay to take help. I've heard a lot of women say like, oh, I don't have babysitters or I don't have nannies and they get sort of uppity about it, but their mom lives next door or their sister's down the street or the grandma comes over to help twice a week. I have news, that's help. I would much rather, you know, have that kind of help, have family around than have to pay for it. But we're super grateful, you know, that we can afford that kind of help and that people in our lives. But the truth is, you can't do everything well. You can do everything, but not well. So you have to really prioritize, you know, what it is. Back in the day, when my twins, my first 2, were really young, and they had birthday parties, I would make all the centerpieces, and I would put together all the goodie bags. And guess what? There's no prize for that. There just isn't.
Yeah.
There's no prize when it's like cleaning out under the kitchen sink. No one goes, "Good job," even though you've spent all day, doing those kinds of things. So you really need to prioritize, what you need to do, what you want to do, what's going to be most impactful, and then get help for the other things.
Okay. Well, along those lines, on the personal side, it's interesting what you're saying about, this needing help. I also feel that entrepreneurs, men and women, sometimes just want to say, I want to be it all. Like, I want to be the alpha male, the boss lady, all these terms. But are you saying in even that world, with your personal life, you need to just ask for things from your partner?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I feel like this whole business in general is kind of like a barrel of monkeys, right?
Yes.
So the more people that, that old game with the little, all right, so the more people you help up, the more people that are up there to help you get up. And that's what it's all about. Business is about relationships. It doesn't matter what the business is. And yes, you need help. No one can stand alone. You need a village. And you know what? Everything is fluid.
Yeah.
We all have, ebbs and flows to our personal lives, to our businesses. And it's those people that help you, that you end up helping. I mean, how many times have you heard of, or has it happened to you where, you've gotten a job through someone that you helped through a situation?
Paying it forward, that's what they call it.
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
But not because, I'm going to go help that guy because someday he might help me. It's not that. It's that you do your best.
Yes.
That doesn't mean we're all perfect. We all say regrettable things, make mistakes, all that. But in general, you want to toe the line, pick a lane, stay in your lane, and be a good person. And when you're a good person, you make the best choices you can. Again, not always perfect, but the best choices you can. And when you see someone that needs help, you help them. One of the things that I think that Terry and I have done well on reality television is help our friends. I know that anytime I could, if I have a friend that had a clothing company or a tanning company or whatever it is, I would say, hey, use my friend, or hey, let's film at that location. Or, because why not? Of course you support your village. You got to support your village.
So instead of the Oprah effect, it's the Heather effect?
It could be.
Okay, we should trademark that. Well, tell us about a business that you helped, like any particular business that comes to your mind when you say that. I'm just curious.
Oh, well, off the top of my head, I know I have a girlfriend, my friend Lindsay Dickout, who has a company called $1 Million Tan, who you should talk to. She's fantastic.
Done.
And she started this tanning company out of the trunk of her car, and now it's a multi-million-dollar company, and she's on shopping networks, and she's in Nordstrom, and she's everywhere. But we all need branding. We all need to go to the next level, and so for her, I hooked her up with someone on our show that needed tanning. She got her on the show. I have another friend that makes men's clothing, and so we brought him on the show to always do that. I used to frequently host Good Day LA. And had some of those people do segments on the show. I just think promoting your people, first of all, it's a testament. I hate when people think you don't want other people to do well. Because it's like, you don't want to hang out with a bunch of losers.
I totally agree with you.
You want to hang out with successful, cool, amazing people. So if you have those kinds of people around you, it reflects upon you, first of all, and you bring them with you.
What is your brand then? Like, you talk about this brand where you're giving back, paying it forward, and I already mentioned earlier that you have this authentic message. How would you describe the Heather Dubrow brand?
Well, I feel like, like I said, you have to listen, especially if you're on a reality show, or whenever you're in the public eye, your audience basically tells you who you are.
Okay.
Like, you could think you're this fancy, fabulous person, but if people see you as this beer swilling, blue collar kind of like that, you can't sell diamonds. You know what I mean? You really have to know who you are. I totally lost my train of thought. What was the question?
How would you describe your own?
Oh, my brand. Right, I knew that. So it's forgetful. Losing my train of thought. No, it's. I would say that what my brand is that it's fancy but relatable.
Okay, fancy but relatable. Where did you get that from growing up, or from just living out here? Like, how did that come to you?
I think that's what the audience has taught me.
The audience has taught you. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was first starting out as an actress, I only played blue collar parts.
Okay.
Always. I was always.
I'm not sure what you said.
What I said was no. I always played blue collar. I always played Italian Catholic, and I was always a bartender, a waitress. I mean, something like that. I never get hired in scripted television. I never get hired for that anymore because people see me as fancy now. because on reality, people see my home.
The girl who
and
likes
it's-
champs.
They're the girl that likes champs. I love my champagne. I like to travel, fancy things.
Yeah.
But through my podcast,
Yes.
and the podcast I have with Terry, so Heather Dubrow's World, and through
Which is hilarious.
thank you, and through the podcast I have with Terry, Dr. and Mrs. Guinea Pig, and Terry and I have written a book together.
Yep.
We're about to start our second book. We do segments on talk shows together as Dr. and Mrs. Guinea Pig, where we go out in the world and we test everything, health, wellness, and beauty on ourselves. Putting ourselves out there and putting myself out there has shown people that it's not all champagne and fancy houses. It's a mom, it's a relatable person. I feel like I have connected with my audience in a way, and the response has shown me that is the brand.
Okay. Well, it's interesting you talk about you and your husband because I'm really intrigued by your beauty product. And I did a little research on it. I'm not your target customer for it, but I have some friends that have used your product. And I asked them what it felt like. And they actually said to me that the product just makes me feel refreshed, alive, like these vivacious, all these like awakened type of feelings. Talk to us about how you and your husband developed that product, because it's doing well, and it's because people consistently buy it. I mean,
yeah, we have a whole skincare line.
Yep.
So what happened was about, I'm going to say 17 years ago, Terry had written a book called The Acne Cure, and it was all about, and this is so us, it's all about, you don't have to spend $1 gazillion to have good skin, go to the drugstore, here's what to buy, and fix your acne. So he wrote this book, and based on his book, we were hiking one day, and I said, and we started talking, and I came up with a product based on his book. So we had an infomercial, and Mel Harris, you remember Mel Harris?
I remember Mel Harris, yeah.
She was our host for one of the infomercials, and then we had Mackenzie Westmore from the Westmore makeup family. And what's funny is her cousin Matt Westmore is the executive producer of Botched.
Wow.
What kind of small world is that? Anyway, so we had this infomercial, didn't do well, and then so I'm telling you this story because it's all about persistence and staying in your lane and keeping going. So that didn't do well, but we sold our products out of Terry's office. And then when Terry was doing the Swan, we had another line and another sort of failed opportunity. And then he was on a show called Bridal Plasty, and I put together these bridal prep kits, and then that show didn't go. And so it's sort of been, like everything in business, this is 17 years we've been doing this. So anyway, so we had all these products, and with the success of our TV shows, we got approached by someone. They said, hey, we were always approached, do you want to put your name on this line or that? And no. But they said, so this guy came to us and he said, what are you doing? And we showed him our products and said, but what we'd like to do is this. And he said, well, I have the chemists that have that technology. Why don't we join forces? And we said, that's a great idea. So we joined forces and we took our products up a notch. And we launched on Evine, the shopping channel, 2 years ago. With the biggest beauty brand opening they've ever had, and we are the fastest growing beauty brand at Evine.
Boom.
Yeah.
Good job.
We've done really well there, and I know it's because, first of all, if you're famous and you put out some kind of product, well, sometimes you're going to get people to buy it, because you've got 1.5 million Instagram followers or whatever it is, you have an audience, people are going to sample it. But your product needs to be good for it to be successful.
Or to be repeated. Like you'll get a lot of initial sales, but after that, if the product isn't good, they're going to be like, all right, I tried it, next product.
Exactly. Okay. So your product, you can always get a bump because people say, oh, you're on TV, that's why. Yeah, you can get a bump from that, but if the product's not good, there's no repeat customer. So we've now been at Evine for 2 years, and our skincare line, it's called Consult Beauty, is doing incredibly well. We're actually launching a new brand called Consult Health in April, which is more of ingestibles and things to keep you healthy.
I love what you said about that, about this, having a high quality product or being ready, because in our world, the show that everyone's in love with, entrepreneurs, is Shark Tank. And we've met a lot of Shark Tank companies, and some have actually straight up said, we weren't ready for the 3 million plus people that came to our site because we didn't have the basic shopping cart, or we didn't have more SKUs. And it's really important for, in your opinion, in my opinion at least, to be ready. How did you know that the product was doing well? Not just from sales, but like what feedback were people giving you in those early stages when it's starting to grow?
Well, I mean, I think the ultimate, arbiter is the sales. I mean, it is. But the feedback and the customer reviews are amazing. I mean, if you go to Evine's website, we have all 4- and 5-star customer reviews, hundreds of them. and the amount of product we sell. And they also have this thing that I think is cool. They call it auto delivery. So you sign up for this thing, which sounds like a pain, but it's good because they send you your product however, like if it's a 30-day supply, they send it every 30 days, so you don't run out. You don't have to go to the store, you don't have to do anything. But always when I hear that, I think, oh, they're gonna get me for the next 7 years. But it's not. They make it so easy.
And you can cancel.
And you can cancel at any time. But what was significant to us is that we had the highest auto delivery rate. Usually they get 20 or 30% that will order on that plan, and ours is always about 70%
Oh, wow.
of people that order auto delivery, which says it's working, they love it, they don't want to be without it. The reviews are amazing, and it's funny. When Terry and I travel, it used to be, oh, I love Heather Dubrow's World, or I love Botched, or whatever. And now people go, oh, we love your beauty caps. We love the beauty cap. We're like, okay, great. Isn't that funny?
That is so cool. That means your product's speaking for itself.
Absolutely.
Well, what's next for you in your business journey?
Well, let's see. So right now, I've left reality television.
We're all aware.
Yeah, which is good. It was a real, if you want to hear the whole story, you can go to Heather Dubrow's World, and I told the story. But, a tipping point for me. And I really felt like it was time for me to fly. I have been doing Heather Dubrow's World for about a year and a half. It's the #1 female podcast on Podcast One.
Wow.
So, and I think number 3 or 4 overall. So we've done great. And to me, that showed, the reach that we were having with the show.
How did you develop that? Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just curious because that's a whole nother subject about building a podcast and building your self-brand. Like, what do you think it took to...
You just have to be authentic. This is Drew Pinsky, Dr. Drew gave me the best advice of anyone, because I was so worried, because I'm a television girl, I'm used to content, and I'm thinking like a talk show, like, okay, I have this segment, that's a...
Yeah.
And he said, what, Heather, people just want to hang out with you for an hour.
Nice.
And I go, they do? Because you go, who wants to hang out with me for an hour?
Yeah.
I don't know, but you know what, they do, and it was great. And one day I was sitting, I did a couple of live shows. So I did a live show at the Irvine Improv, and I did one in Las Vegas, and it was cool. It was fun to do a live podcast. And I was sitting in the nail salon, and this gal yells at me across the nail salon, and she was like, Heather, sometimes I don't know if I know someone or they just know, what I mean? And so I always go, oh, hi, how are you? She goes, okay, you don't know me. She said, but I just want to tell you that I listened to your show, and we're coming to your live show. And me and my mommy group always listen to your podcast, and we talk about you. She goes, I just want you to know you have reach. I almost started crying in the middle of the nail salon. This was when we had, been doing the podcast for maybe 4 or 5 months, and I thought, okay, we're striking a chord here.
Yeah.
There's a need for this. But I think the biggest thing about the podcast, and one of the things I love about it, is that you have to be authentic. You have to be you. I mean, I love the fact that in these days and times, you can create content, because when I started out in Hollywood, and I was an actress and a singer, but you were sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for the agent to call, or sitting in a hall in folding chairs, waiting to go in and read for 2 minutes and hope that they would see, what you were putting out there and hope you were right and all this. Now, there's 7,000 channels, there's 7 gazillion ways to put your content on the web. Really all it takes is authenticity, talent, determination, and a little bit of luck.
Okay. Besides the new podcast, or continue the podcast, what else are you working on?
Okay, so I have Heather Dubrow's World podcast.
Yep.
It's on Podcast One or iTunes. You can find everything at heatherdubrow.com. And then Terry and I have Dr. and Mrs. Guinea Pig podcast. I have a YouTube channel.
I love that show. It's hilarious.
Thank you, Heather's Closet.
Yes.
And that's just one of those things. Like when you're inspired to do things, you got to just do them. You got to not worry about the ramifications. So one of my daughters, Katarina, who's 10, she's a huge YouTuber. Whatever that means. She would be in our kitchen setting up cameras and iPads and doing challenges of eggs. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, Mom, you need a YouTube channel. And I was like, I do? So Terry and I went out to dinner one night. We're sitting at Javier's. We're having margaritas. And I go, I've got it. And he goes, what? I go, Katarina said I need a YouTube channel. I go, I'm going to do a show from my closet. It's my favorite place. And he goes, okay. And literally within 6 days, I had the thing shot and up on YouTube. Love doing it. It's so fun. Feedback's great. I don't know where it's going to go, but I like it. And it's a fun way to, because my podcast is obviously a listening experience. I wanted something that was more of a visual experience. So it's fun. We hang out in my closet. I purge my closet. I give away items from my closet to subscribers. It's a fun little thing. And what's the best part is that I don't have to leave my house to shoot it.
So convenient.
Yeah, it's kind of a win-win. So I've got the 2 podcasts. I've got Heather's Closet. I'm doing a really fun show that it hasn't been officially announced yet.
The invitation.
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm kind of known for my parties,
Yeah.
and I like to celebrate the opening of an envelope. So I met Victor Cho, who's the CEO of Evite,
Wow.
a few months ago, and we started talking and concepting some things. So we're doing a show called Celebrate with Heather Dubrow.
Is it be on digital, like mobile,
It's
web?
going to be on, you're going to find it on Evite.
Wow.
Yeah, on Evite's site.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's going to be, I'm so excited. We're just finishing, I just saw the schematic for the set, and I'm really excited about that show because I feel like one of the things that I think is so important about life is celebrating.
Yes.
Because if you don't have things to look forward to, you get stuck in this quagmire of living your everyday. It's like, sometimes I say, especially with kids, it's like Groundhog Day. You get up, it's like, or back in New York, I don't know if this was a national commercial, there was this Dunkin' Donuts commercial where the guy who made the donuts, he'd go, time to make the donuts, and they'd show him every day,
Yeah.
and they'd show him get out of the bed, he goes, I made the donuts, and go back to bed.
That's funny.
Sometimes life is like that, right?
Yeah.
It's Groundhog Day. And what makes things special? Christmas, your birthday, well, why not just celebrate everything? It doesn't have to be $1 gazillion, but just celebrating and acknowledging these moments with your friends, your family, your significant other really makes life fun and move it along. So I wanted to do a show about it. So I'm doing that with Evite. And so Terry and I are still doing segments on all those other things. I'm doing a recurring part on a TV show called Young and Hungry on Freeform. It's a scripted show.
What are the chances? We're younger.
I know. By the way, it was very confusing because the first episode's airing next week or something, and when I was getting an email for Young and Hungry, and for Youngry, I was looking at it twice, going, "Oh crap! Which one is it?"
That's a sign, everyone. That's a sign. The Youngry effect, not the Heather effect. The Youngry effect.
That's right. And then I have another project that I can't talk about yet, but I'm not a pre-celebrator of things.
I get it.
I like ink dry and almost on the air and filming. But so many great opportunities, which is one of the reasons that I decided that it was time to leave the reality show, is because
for your space.
Well, we're so grateful for everything Housewives gave us, truly. Amazing platform and really, a fun 5 years. But at some point, you got to take that platform and fly. And that's a really good thing to talk about, too, I think, is how do you know when to split off?
Yeah, how do you know?
For me, I think it's really important to listen to the universe because I've had times in my life where I did not listen to the universe and the results were not terrific. I think if you listen to not just your trusted advisors, but really to what the world is telling you. Is the world telling you it's time to go? Is the world telling you it's time to make a change? You gotta listen to those, to look for those signs, listen for them.
Yeah.
And you'll hear them. But if you think you know it all, you won't.
It's beautiful. I love that. No, I'm just soaking that in. I like that universe guiding you and your intuition.
But it's true. But you were talking about before people that, like on Shark Tank, that weren't ready for that.
Yes.
It's funny, I was watching Billions. Do you watch Billions?
I love Billions.
Okay, did you see the new episode
Of
yet?
course.
Okay. So you know how she wanted to do her new business and he was like, you weren't ready. You didn't listen to me, right?
Yes.
And she got all pissy with him, but I was like, he did tell you that.
He did tell you.
But he was right. She went to her trusted advisor, her husband. Okay, it's a scripted show, but whatever. Went to her husband and he said, you're not ready yet. And instead of saying, okay, well, what do I have to do to be ready? She didn't buy it. She knows. You just can't think you're smarter than everyone. Because as soon as you think you're smarter than everyone, it's over. You're not. There's always someone smarter than you, faster than you, more talented than you, luckier than you. It's just all about using the people around you.
Okay. 2 last questions.
Yes.
We talked about my beads earlier.
Love them.
And you're into meditation and
Buddhism, yeah.
Buddhism. What has meditation and mindfulness done for you?
Balance me.
Okay.
I'm someone who's, had anxiety for my whole life, basically at different, worse at different times in my life. And I think being a driven person and that balance we're talking about with the kids and it can make you crazy. And how do you relax? Also with me, I was always someone who felt like I knew exactly where I was going. And if it wasn't this path, everything was going to, go to hell. And it took a long time for me to go, okay, listen to the universe, play the cards in front of you, and you need to relax. And the thing that's done it for me is 2 things. reading Buddhist teaching.
Okay.
Is very relaxing. You can get apps on your phone. I mean, you don't need to go to a temple. You can just get apps on your phone and read. And when you start to read these teachings, you go, yeah, I mean, basic things that you just forget. And I will tell you this, exercise.
Okay.
I always hated people that go, oh, I work out for my head. I was like, whatever, I work out for my ass. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, yeah, I work out for my ass, right? Not for my head. But about 3 years ago, Terry took me to this Orange Theory, which is this high intensity interval training center. It's a 1 hour class program. Started doing it, and it transformed me. 1 hour, and there's lots of different kinds of interval training things, but a 1 hour class where I completely drained myself, and I would literally cry sometimes. I know that sounds crazy, but I would cry sometimes at the end of the class. It was like cathartic. It was such a release, and it did so much for my anxiety. And now, if I don't work out for a couple of days, I feel it. And even if I just go in and I'm not feeling like superhuman and I just sort of mark it a little, just getting the blood flowing and the body moving, taking a walk. That's why, you know what, people at our agency at WME, where Terry and I are both represented, instead of sitting at desks, some of them have treadmills.
I know, I've seen that. It's so cool.
It's amazing, but it's good. You got to keep your blood flowing. It keeps your brain working. You got to take a walk outside. You got to release that energy, and it balances you.
Yeah. Wow. No, it's funny because the reason why I was a few minutes late is because I was walking around here. That's what gets me in the mindset for these interviews.
I love that.
Just got to walk and just get in that zone, listen to my hypey music on Spotify and just get in the zone, That's my mindfulness before any interview.
I like that.
Before I do my last question, I just want to say thank you for doing this interview. You really are someone I really feel that can have it all. You can manage the empire, you can have the family life, and you seem really just happy and authentic. So I just want to thank you, and I know a lot of people are going to love this interview.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
So Youngry means young in spirit, hungry in ambition. That's what Youngry means.
Isn't that so weird? I'm doing that show.
I know.
So bizarre.
It's the universe.
Okay, I'm sorry. Young in spirit, hungry in ambition. Yeah.
And so, and the quick acronym is, young and hungry in a way. When you hear the name Youngry, besides the show name, of course, what comes to your mind?
Well, young and hungry came to my mind because of the show.
Yeah.
But what I like about it is Youngry says to me, I am starting and I'm hungry and I'm going to make it happen.
Yes.
Which I love. I love that spirit of that. I don't believe you have to be young to feel that way, by the way. It's amazing to me, if you had told me that at this stage of my life that I would be starting all of these crazy new ventures, I would be like, you're out of your mind. Writing books, podcasts, YouTube channels, television shows. I never would have believed you.
Wow.
Listen to the universe. Use your village. Stay as balanced as you can. Give yourself a break and go for it. We get one life. That's it. Just one. You got nothing to lose.
There you have it, folks. From the queen herself. Thank you, guys. Make sure to stay Youngry. Can't wait to show this interview.